Hello everyone, this is Nimish and today we're going to do a special video called Malayalam Best of 2016. This is a complete review roundup of all the movies of 2016, and I got this idea because I was on Twitter and there's a site called Filmibeat.com and they tweeted about all the industries because they are hosting an awards which is kind of online and we get to vote. So I voted and I shared the links and I asked people to vote because every vote counts. And at that time, there was someone very unfavorable in the best actor category leading, which is what I was like, no, let's vote, let's, change this. So that's a site. And if you're not aware of it, definitely go check it out. I'll attach the link in the description below. Filmy Beat. I'm not advertising or anything. I have nothing to do with them, but it's fun to just vote for your favorite movies. And today, because of that, I'm going to discuss not only the movies that I watched and what I think were good in 2016, but also all the awards and the nominees listed and as per these particular awards. So I have the links in the description, and also we're going to discuss this in detail. Now, for everyone out there, all the fans and followers of Malayalam movies, you guys are waiting for some very crucial reviews of mine, and I'm really sorry I delayed it, but there's going to be a lot of reviews after this. There's going to be Devasuram, Spadikam, Seventh Day, Big B, Monsoon Mangoes, Jacob Inte Swargarajam, Diamond Necklace, and all the movies that I have watched and I will continue to watch. So definitely don't worry about the reviews and the delays. It's going to come up as soon as possible, which is basically after this video, because for a long time now many other industries are going to be very quiet, and it's the end of the year and it's the beginning of next year, so I can do a lot of reviews and watch a lot more movies. So definitely stay tuned and subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's get right to the best of 2016. So the category that I'm going to start with is best film. Okay, the reason I'm starting with this big category instead of smaller categories is so that all my other explanations pretty much fall in the same territory and are self-explanatory. So, I don't need to start from best supporting actor and then move on and keep explaining every time why this is better than that. When I start with the big category like best film, I think many of the other things will make a lot of sense. So here are the nominees in front of you for Best Film 2016 Malayalam: Guppy, Action Hero Biju, James and Alice, Kamati Padam, Kasaba, Mahesh Inte Pradikaram, Opam, and Puli Murugan. Very realistically speaking, there are only three nominees that I can see here which are really deserving, which is Guppy, Kamati Padam, and Mahesh Inte Pradikaram. I have not watched James and Alice. None of you have actually, some of you have told me not to watch Kasaba, so that's completely out of the equation. Puli Murugan is a celebration of cinema, a celebration of Mohanlal. As I said in my review, it has to be enjoyed, admired for what it is, but I don't think Puli Murugan has anything to do with most of the categories that we are discussing today. And Puli Murugan probably deserves to be in cinematography maybe, and action, VFX, those categories, extreme technical categories. And I think that otherwise it's just a celebration of movies and celebration of Mohanlal. It's this cinematic event that we all go to and just enjoy our popcorn and come back home. It has nothing to do with awards per se. Opam, directed by Priyadarshan. I watched it and I will review it as soon as possible. But as of now, in short, what I think of Opam is that coming from a veteran director like Priyadarshan, it could have been much tighter. The screenplay, the editing, and many of the progressions and plot points in the movie, they could have been tighter and worked upon to make this a very, very, very strong film. But unfortunately, it's not that strong as the trailer, which was cut by Alphonse Putran, suggests. So I don't think it lives up to the trailer projection of the movie, and so Opam not definitely coming in the best film for me. Action Hero Biju, some movie that I gave I think 4.5 stars. I absolutely enjoyed it. But the category that it deserves to be in is best screenplay primarily, because that's a very, very difficult screenplay. It's primarily 60% of the movie is in the police station with a couple of camera angles, and to make that so entertaining without any dramatic events, just realistic events like someone losing their license, someone fighting with a woman, just the basic everyday events, to make it that interesting is complete credit to the writer, to the screenplay and the script, and the dialogue writer. So screenplay and dialogues is one category which Action Hero Biju deserves to be in, Nothing else really, because the more I watch Malayalam movies, the more I kind of understand the whole feel of the Bollywood, so to say, and what is good, what is not, what is commercial, what is not. Initially, of course, when you come from Bollywood, everything seems like this completely art house, beautiful movie in Malayalam. But as you watch more, you get to differentiate between the two, and it's all the movies are great, but definitely not in the category. So, in short, Guppi, Kamathipadam, and Maheshinte Pradikaram. Now, I know Maheshinte Pradikaram is a huge favorite of everyone, but if you compare it with Guppi and Kamathipadam, you can, I think, get your answer that it's nowhere close to what Guppi and Kamathipadam tried to achieve, and so we can keep that at third place. So, Guppi and Kamathipadam. Kamathipadam, let's begin with that. I watched 60%. Okay, and many of you are going to be like, "What do you mean you watch 60%? How can you just watch half a movie and start and comment about it?" So that's why I did review it, and I'm not going to get into details of Kamathipadam, but I pretty much watched more than half. And what I think is that what Gopi did, tried to achieve, and the extent to which it went in terms of various technical categories, which you have seen in my review, with newcomers and children and all of that, is something that extraordinarily impressed me in cinemas in the world. It's not just like in Malayalam cinema, Guppi was so good that compared to other Malayalam movies, Guppi is so good. Guppi is good compared to all movies in this world that exist. And every movie lover and even someone from like Hollywood, which is most respected, if someone watches Guppi, they will absolutely cherish it, celebrate it, and admire it. So I think that's the level that Guppi achieved. Kamathipadam is pretty much embedded in the Kerala culture, the core Kerala culture. It's embedded in those characters, those areas, that kind of story, with the story of a cop that is completely, going back and forth and stuff like that. It's called the Once Upon a Time in America of Indian cinema, or of Mollywood, so to speak. So comparing these two is very difficult, because on one hand there's Guppi, which anyone like me can also understand and relate to, whereas on the other hand there's Kamathipadam, which is probably better for Keralites to judge. But that itself is a reason enough for me to believe that Guppi is a better movie, because it stands out on, let's say, the international standards or the national standards, or for outsiders, and it is enjoyable for everyone while telling a multi-layered story with all that detailing and all that craft that's gone into it. So for me, my pick would definitely be Guppi for best film. Now, this video I've made so that all of you guys can comment with your views, your favorites, and all of that, so that you guys can also discuss and tell me what you think and what you think your best movie should be, and so that you guys can go and vote for your favorite movie, so that no other movie that you find undeserving wins, and then you'll be like, "Oh my god, how can this movie win?" So definitely comment, definitely go and vote. So I think Guppi is the best movie of 2016. Definitely, I have not watched a better movie in 2016, with all the reasons that I have stated in my Guppi review, which you can go and see if you haven't already. So now let's move on to the next category, which is Best Director. The nominees are Abrid Shine for Action Hero Biju, Dilesh Potan for Maheshinte Pradikaram, John Paul George for Guppi, Rajesh Pillai for Vetta, Rajiv Ravi for Kamathipadam, Priyadarshan for Opam, Vineet Srinivasan for Jacob Inte, Swargarajam, and Vaisak for Puli Murugan. So first things first, I like to eliminate. So we'll eliminate Puli Murugan again, because as I said, they have specific categories where it deserves to be there. And the second half is something that we've seen in other industries so much that there's nothing new for a director to do, or he hasn't done anything new. So again, that's out of this category. Vetta, starring I think Kunchako Boban. No one has recommended this to me, and I've heard of Kunchako Boban. You guys have told me about him, some of you, but no one has spoken about this movie, which makes me feel that it probably doesn't deserve Best Director, because otherwise, at least I would have known this name and got one recommendation in all the thousands of comments that you guys have left. So that's out. Opam, again, as I said, could have been much tighter. If it came from a debutant director, what I like comparing when it comes to direction is the age and experience of the director versus the achievement in their final film. So if a new director makes a 3-star movie, it's much more important than a veteran director making a 3-star movie. So for Priyadarshan's Opam, that's something I feel that being Priyadarshan and working on great movies like Mani Chitratal as assistant or whatever, or remaking them, and all those years of experience, he could have made Opam something outstandingly incredible achievement, which kind of lost itself somewhere in the screenplay and the editing. So definitely Opam cannot get, according to me, the best director award, or should not get the best director award. Moving on to Jacob Inte Swargarajam, directed by Vinit Srinivasan. Now, this is a very sensitive and simple tale, and honestly, I've not yet reviewed it, so again, I'll speak about it when the review comes in more detail. But I think that it was very well made, and it's difficult for a young person to understand. Someone who's, I know it's based on a true story and probably based on people they know, but it's very difficult to understand the psychology of what a family goes through, how to capture that, and how to not make it a some boring tale, to actually tell it in a nice and entertaining and a simple way with not too much depressing emotion, not too much extreme emotion, to beautifully just tell that tale. And I think for Vineet Srinivasan, who's such a young guy, to do it is incredible. So I totally loved Jacob Inte Swargarajam, and I think that he was an absolutely fantastic director. So let's keep him on board for now while we discuss the other movies. Moving on to again Rajiv Ravi for Kamati Padam. He's a favorite, and I know that most of you want Kamati Padam to win all the awards. Of course, you guys are better judges when it comes to Kerala core oriented, culture oriented movies. But again, I'm not sure. I think he's been influenced by a lot of other movies, and although he's captured it very well, when you compare it to Mahesh Inte Pradikaram or Guppi, I think it falls a little short. Because having said everything, and kind of comparing all movies, watching all kinds of movies, the one thing that even you'll agree with is that when you sit back and watch a movie, you should never at any point feel that, come on, what's going to happen next? Go fast, move forward, don't be so slow. Why again this, and why that, and where is this story going, or wait, I'm not understanding something. So all these kind of emotions, because I watched it with subtitles, started coming to my head. And so the progression of the movie is something I don't purely agree with. So I don't think Kamati Padam, from my side, this is of course what I'm telling you, what I think about these movies. Kamati Padam is a strong contender, I know, but I don't think it deserves a Best Director award when I compare it to the other people here in the category. Again, Action Hero Biju, as I said, gets eliminated because it only deserves screenplay and dialogue awards. However, I love the film, but it's awards. You take it seriously. Dilesh Potan and John Paul George, these are extremely strong contenders for Best Director. And when you compare these two and you talk about these two, Vineet Srinivasan kind of gets out of the way automatically, because these are much, much more superior movies compared to anyone else on the list right now. Dilesh Potan's Mahesh Inte Pradikaram captured a simple story in the most beautiful way, in a progression that is uncomparable, unmatchable, and to take a small story or a simple story to make it relatable to all the Keralites out there. And Fahad Fasil, who's definitely he's popular, but he's not as popular as, let's say, Dulquer or Nivin Pauly. I've heard from the comments that he had not been doing these great choices of movies, and so he's just semi-popular kind of thing. So to take him and make that movie something incredibly outstanding, interesting, relatable, capturing all the technical aspects of the Idki area in such a beautiful way, it's something else. He's captured the progression and made it like a scene to scene movie. Every scene is delightful, every scene is fun to watch. There's no wastage of time, there's no scenes that are stitched to just take two plot points together. He's actually made this outstanding movie wherein every scene is hyper entertaining, and especially if you guys who know Malayalam, obviously the dialogues are absolutely impactful and effective. So Dilesh Potan has captured a simple looking story in the most complex and artistic and crafty way. So I think he is the best director. Guppi is a good effort, a good hard work, and a good technically oriented brilliant film, but finally it's also an eventful story. So the story and the performances also help in making the movie better. The art direction also helps in making the movie better. The cinematography, DOPs, everyone helps in making the movie better when it comes to Guppy. But when it comes to direction effort in Mahesh Inde Pradikaram, there's nothing he can use. He can't use the poetic cinematography that Guppy used. He can't use the subtext of Guppy and the color combinations and the meanings behind it and the relationships with the mother or anything that Guppy had and the eventful plot points that Guppy had. Mahesh Indi Pradikaram didn't have that. It was basically a pretty much a simple story, but presented and told in a beautiful way. And when it comes to direction, what I feel is that directors should not tell a great story. They should tell any story in a great way, and that's what Mahesh Inde Pradikaram actually did. So I think that the best director definitely should go to Dileesh Pothan. I don't even remember who I voted for actually, because at that time I was all excited and I was just I don't remember. I probably voted for John Paul George myself, but to think of it, I think Dileesh Pothan deserves it, and I think that he deserves best director for Mahesh Inde Pradikaram. Moving on to Best Actor. This is a huge category, and I know the favorite right now is either Dulquer Salman for Kamati Padam or Mohanlal for all the movies he's done, especially Puli Murugan and Oppam. So I'm not even going to speak about the other actors. That is Dilip for Pinayum. I know Dilip is a complete actor and I also like him very much, but I've not watched it and neither have I got any recommendations for it. So Dilip's Pinayum, Fahad Fazil, Mahesh Inte Pradikaram, that I personally voted for because I really liked him, in that movie, and especially after watching more movies of his, I think that what he did in Mahesh Inte Pradikaram was fantastic. Mammootty for Kasba, Kunsako Boban for Vetta, I have not watched, and again, as I said, it's not recommended, so let's skip that. Jay Surya for Priyadam, I said he was fantastic, but it has nothing to do with awards. Good performances are everywhere, but everyone can't get awards, and that same applies to Nivin Pauly and Prithviraj, who are all, I think, on this list just to respect them more than anything else. So Dulquer Salman was really, really natural and very, very different from what he's done before in Kamati Padam. And Mohanlal for Puli Murugan and Oppam. I think the clear winner will be Dulquer Salman. Because, first of all, Mohanlal has got so many awards. I think that these youngsters should be boosted with some awards and be encouraged so they keep doing good films. And I think even Mohanlal is like, whatever, so many awards, yeah, what am I going to do with it? So, and plus Puli Murugan and Oppam are not, I don't think, you see, Mohanlal is good in everything. Now you can't just keep giving him awards. He's good in everything, but these movies were not so extraordinary that you saw a Mohanlal that you've never seen before. So in that sense, you saw Dulquer Salman that you've never seen before, and I think that's what gives him the edge. Now, I personally voted for Fahad Fasil because after watching movies like Diamond Necklace, Monsoon Mangoes, where I saw the lighter, calmer side of him instead of the intensity I always speak about, I thought that it was a complete different shade what he did in Mahesh Inte Pradikaram. That look of his, the feel of his, what he did with his eyes was very, very intense and very different for him to do. But so that's why I voted for him. But having said that, I think that as I don't know why, you see, the thing is, when these ratings came up, I got so excited and I was like, let's vote. And the reasons I didn't vote for movies like Kamati Padam in certain categories or Mahesh Inte Pradikaram in the other categories is because these were culture oriented films which I couldn't relate to. So in that excitement, I was like, no, I don't think so. But as I thought about it more, and that's why I made this video, that I think that definitely any actor who does something you can't imagine him to do. Dulquer Salman played a much older guy with a mustache in a very, very serious, psychologically oriented role where he's a little disturbed, he's going crazy. I mean, not going crazy, but he's just, disturbed and he's very troubled, and the past and future, everything is mixed together. I think Dulquer Salman will win this award. I chose Fahad Fasil, but that's just my choice. I just felt he deserves it. Moving on to Best Actress, the nominees are Mamta Mohandas for Topil Jopan, Kavya Madhavan for Pinayum, I'm not sure, I cannot comment, Aparna Balmurli for Mahesh Inte Pradikaram, Manju Warrior for Vetta, and Karim Kunam Sixes. Now both these movies I've not watched, so I can't speak. Then there's Vedika for James and Alice, and Sai Pallavi for Kali, So that gives me two options. Nayanthara, who I think is an absolutely fantastic actress, because I've watched her in a couple of Tamil movies where she really didn't have a role. You know, she had that typical commercial, stupid, funny, trying to be funny role with the actor, you know, trying to just make the audiences laugh. The typical role that actresses have in those commercial movies she had, but she was actually very impressive and she was actually very funny and she was actually doing a fantastic job. So I absolutely love Nayanthara's acting, and I think that that's probably why she gets enough movies in Malayalam also, because people have accepted her acting in such a great way. But I have not watched Putiyani Amman, which is her and Mammootty, if I'm not mistaken. So I have not watched that. So my vote goes to Rajisha Vijayan, who I also said in my review of Anurag Karik in Velam that it's unbelievable how annoying she was in that movie. And I asked you guys if that's, you know, if she's always annoying or not, and you guys said that's the first movie. I think she's incredible to be that convincing, that annoying. Like you don't even want to see her on screen anymore. She's that like bad a girlfriend or whatever she plays in that movie. So she was really, really good, and I think that she deserves this award not only because she's a newcomer, which is a very important point, but because she convinced us in every way. Moving on to best negative role. So this is a difficult category because I've not watched some of these movies. So let's just speak about it in the best way possible. Like I've not watched Mudugav, so I don't know who Vijay Babu is and how he performed. I have not watched Kasaba to speak about Varalakshmi's Sarath Kumar, but I'm sure that those two are not your favorites also. Sharanya Menon in Priyatham, absolutely, that's not even a consideration. There was no villain or negative role. That was just a random culprit or whatever. So I don't think that's counted as a negative role. Now, Samutirukani in Opam, he was definitely annoying. He was definitely negative, so to speak. But I can't judge because that's the only movie I've watched. So he might be fantastic. He might actually be a legend in when it comes to negative roles. I'm not aware of him, but I'm not sure. Like I can't say that if he should get the award or not. Moving on to Jagpati Babu is my absolute commercial favorite, but not in Puli Murugan. I don't think he did so well in the second half. There was not much for him to do. Jagdish in Leela, again, I've not watched it. So, but I've only seen Jagdish in comedy roles, so I can't imagine him in a negative role. And I'm sure you guys can help me more on this category because I don't know. So for me, the basic option is and Ashwin Kumar in Jacob Inte Swargarajyam. I don't even remember. Like, I think he's the money lender or something like that. No, I don't think so. Like that's how he looks, and he acted in a very the way he had to, and I don't think that's a villain role. So many of these kind of nominees are probably just there because of their negative shades. They're not negative roles like Jamban Vinod Jose in Kali and Samuthirakkani in Oppam. Those were out and out negative roles. And I think that Samuthirakkani's role was much more commercial, whereas Jamban Vinod Jose was scary, man. He was scary, he was menacing, and you did not want to get close to him. So I definitely think Jamban Vinod Jose deserves this award, especially after watching his other movies where he's played funny, like in Oppam, he's played emotional in Charlie, and a couple of other movies where he's done dynamic roles. So when you watch that, you're like, how did he pull it off in Kali? How did he act so evil, so scary in Kali? And so I think that he is the most scariest negative person out there, and he deserves the award. Samuthirakkani, as I said, in Oppam, if you compare it with Chamban Vinod Jose, I don't think so. It was a commercial villain. He was just trying to like kill Mohanlal, and he had this very straight face trying to escape. There was no performance as such. So I don't think he deserves it. So definitely my vote with Chamban Vinod Jose. Moving on to best debutant, again, now this is, it's difficult because there's a favorite on this list. There's Anandam, which I have not yet watched, and it says Team Anandam, which means all of them who are newcomers who probably did a very nice, sweet, cute job in Anandam. So I can't comment on this category. So all I'll say is that based on what I have seen, it'll go to Rajisha Vijayan because that's the only role that I've actually seen in this, because there are two from Mudugav, there's one from Anandam, there's Kismat, there's Oru Murai Vantu Partaya, and Kamati Padam. And I honestly think Radisha Vijayan should get it, as I said in my review of Anurag Karik in Velam, and that's the only movie I've watched. So you guys will help me better on this, and you guys please leave your comments and tell me what do you think of this particular category. And best of Malayalam supporting actress. Now this is an interesting category. So let's go through these two categories, best supporting actress and actor, very quickly. Anushri in Oppam. Now Anushri I watched in Diamond Necklace, and what she did in Diamond Necklace, when I watched her, I thought she's like that. She's like that only. But when I saw her in Oppam, I was surprised and shocked. I was like, oh my god, that's the same girl, that's the same actress, and she's poles apart in these two movies. She's acting the typical, simple, happy Kerala girl in Diamond Necklace, but in Oppam, she completely played a cop in a very serious role, and she was absolutely unrecognizable. So I think she did a good job, and she's a good actress for sure. Aparna Gopinath is always natural. She keeps it simple. I have not watched School Bus particularly, but she's always pretty much standard. Asha Sarath from Anurag Karik in Velam, which I've watched, and Pavada. I think she was also there in Drishyam, the Papanasam, which I had watched. I've not yet watched Mohanlal's Drishyam. She's a very powerful actress for sure, and her character pretty much is very important in Anurag Karik in Velam to kind of get that emotional or sentimental aspect of the movie and her relation between her husband, sorry, and her son. So she's pretty much important in that movie, and she has that emotional aspects in that movie. So she's a very strong contender on this list. Rohini from Action Hero Biju and Guppy. She's there in a lot of movies, including Diamond Necklace, and she's really good, but I think Asha Sarath was better. Lakshmi Ramakrishnan from Jacob Inte Swargarajam. Bhagya Lakshmi from Oru Mutasi Gada. Now, just by seeing this photo, and I've heard about Oru Mutasi Gada, someone told me it was a very nice movie and I should watch it. I think she's probably a strong contender, but I'm not sure, and I can't comment because I've not watched it. And Pinayum again, Shrinda Ashab, I've not watched it. So you guys have to help me on this list. My pick would definitely be Asha Sarath, because I have to pick one because I've not watched some of the other movies. So Asha Sarath for me. And best supporting actor, the last category we're going to speak about today, of course, has some stellar performances and some veterans here. There's Anup Menon for Pavada, which I'm sure you guys won't favor because it's like a comedic movie or whatever. Biju Menon, who's an absolute favorite from Anurag Karik in Velam, he was really, really, really good. Renji Panikar is always good, but not effective enough. He was really good in Jacob Inte Swargarajam particularly, but I wouldn't say he was effective enough in other movies. So as an actor, I know him, and I think that Biju Menon is much better. Sai Kumar from James and Alice, I have not watched. Sobin Sahir from Mahesh Inde Pradikaram, as I said, he gave the movie a different dimension and had a very complete role, but not just to make people laugh by his crispin dialogues, but he also had this very weird kind of aggression to him, and he had this sometimes very serious kind of role and very composed role. So he had a complete performance, and if he has not yet got enough awards, I would say he definitely deserves it. But Biju Menon probably is the strongest right now. Many people liked Vinayakan from my Twitter response for Kamati Padam. I remember him in the movie, of course, and he's also there in Kali, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm not sure how much he performs and how much he's probably being. And so it's a very difficult actor to judge for me, because he gets these, at least in the two movies I watched, he gets these very aggressive, rowdy roles. But what if he is aggressive, and what if he is that rough, wild person in real life? Either he's not and he's convincing us, because for which I need to watch more performances, or he is, he is very short tempered or whatever that he is, and so it comes across on screen. So I'm not sure, like even in this photo he's looking scary. So so I'm not sure if but everyone liked him. I mean, all of you guys shared some response in Vinayakan for sure. Tobino Thomas is fantastic, but when you compare him to Biju Menon, Sobin Sahir, even Vinayakan for that matter, I think he has a little more work to do in his art. And that role in Guppy is a pretty like commercial, so you can't compare it to realistic and complete characters like Biju Menon played or Sobin Sahir played. So it has to be between Biju Menon and Sobin Sahir, and I chose Biju Menon because I think that to play a cop who's very kind of short tempered or impatient or whatever, and then who's quietly searching for love and talking on the phone and bonding with his wife, was a very layered character that he played, and he really played it well. And then he bonds with his son. So that story went, progressed in a way that performances could deserve it. So both the supporting actor category awards go to Anurag Karkin. That was my roundup for 2016 best Malayalam movies. If there are any other movies that I missed, like which are not on this list, like Anne Maria Kalipalanu, for example, or Uzum, definitely leave your comments below and definitely tell me what you guys think of these movies, of these nominees. Definitely vote for them because every vote counts. And I hope you like this roundup. I hope I can do this every year, or every particular interval, so that we guys can discuss this for the rest of our lives. So I hope you like this roundup of Malayalam movies 2016. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Definitely share this video because all the people out there need to vote, and all the people out there need to leave their comments, and all the people out there need to stand by their favorite performances. So definitely share it on all your Facebooks, on all your Twitters, wherever you can, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. Take care.